hard and she never know I love her to escape. Bones are thrown, sticks and stones, just to let you validate your message to
like we were never away, Richie.
Yeah,
feels like we're never away. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. We are back for another season of away days. I'm excited about this. I absolutely love away days. It's all about speaking to like-minded fans from other clubs and getting their perspective on their own club, but also on Newcastle United in the build-up to the big games. And the big games are back. The Premier League's back. We are a couple of days away from the big new season, and it's going to be a big one for Newcastle United. There is no doubt about it. But here with me, the main man, Rich Story. How you doing, Rich?
I'm all right, mate. You?
Not too bad. Not too bad. We were on last night doing all things for the transfer, which was a fantastic show. Really good discussion.
Yeah, it really was. It was. Enjoyed it.
With you and myself, and obviously everyone in the chat was brilliant. So it's great to have you back on again and talking and previewing the big game. But look, as we always say on away days, is that the away days is all about the opposition view, and we are absolutely delighted to have the main man, Mr. Dore, from Dore on Tour, Nottingham Forest YouTube channel, to come and join us tonight to talk a little bit Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. So welcome in, Mr. Dore. How you doing?
Thank you for having me on, lads. I'm buzzing. I'm excited. Cannot wait. We're back after 23 years. We're coming to like rough from feathers. So listen, I can't wait, man. I'm happy to be back in the Premier League and let the fun begin.
Definitely let the fun begin. I don't blame you at all. And we were talking off air just beforehand, and you were just as buzzing there as you are right now to be back in the Premier League. Like you said, it's 23 years since you've been playing Premier League football. You're back in the big time. And you're look, we're going to get into it. You're back with a bang, okay? Because everyone thought, Forest are in there. You got some good players. Had a really good campaign. Won at Wembley, won the trophy. Fantastic occasion all round. But you've not stopped there, mate. You've not stopped there. And I tell you what, 12 signings you've made this summer. It's like how, as a Forest fan, obviously knowing that you've been promoted, and then all of a sudden getting the sort of all of these signings coming in one by one. Like, how is that for you as a Forest fan? Are you worried by it, or are you excited by all these new signings coming in?
The problem is, like, we 12 players, 13 players left Nottingham Forest. 13 players. This is 5 loan players, players out of contract, players that wanted to leave. So, what do you expect us to do? Get us 3 players and not compete in the Premier League? So, I'm hearing all like we've brought in 12 players, we spent 70 million. We had no choice. We had to get these players to replace players. Like people talking about Jesse Lingard, the role that Steve Cooper, the position that Steve Cooper plays in, the number 10 role is so important. To bring Jesse Lingard, the experience that he's had with, I know he didn't have much with Man U. He did a fantastic job with Newcastle, with West Ham.
Yeah.
The time he's had with England as well. 29 years old. We had to get. It's a great choice. So with all these I'm not going to mention that stupid channel. Is it Talk Sport, moaning about this now and other? You know what? Good. Keep talking about us. Keep talking about us. They've not mentioned Dean Henderson on loan from Manchester United. Why are you not mentioning him? So the players that we had to.
I was going to say, let's get into that, because look, there's been a number of signings. Obviously, I think we'll talk a little bit about Lingard and definitely Dean Henderson in a second. But you've made a number of signings. We'll go through them. Aurelio Mangala has come in. You had a double signing, I think, if I'm right, from Huddersfield. Harry Toffolo and Lim OBrien have come in to the mix. You've added Brandon Aguilera has come into the mix. From Bayern Munich, if I think he's right, Omar Richards has come in. Big signing there. Julian Biacone has come in and joined the team. You've got Musa Nakahe has come in centre back, and I think a lot of people have been excited about him. Taiwo Awani has come in and joined you guys. Nico Williams from Liverpool. That one kind of went under the radar, I think, outside of Nottingham Forest at right back. Obviously, you lost Spence, who went to Spurs, but you've got Nico Williams, who was projected to have a fantastic career. You've then gone in and signed 2 goalkeepers. The experience of Wayne Hennessy, I think he came from Crystal Palace, if I'm right in thinking. Yep. And then you've got Dean Henderson, which is obviously who you've mentioned. A big signing. We were linked with him. It looked like at the beginning of the summer that the deal was done, that he was going to sign for Newcastle. He's then gone and signed for Forest, and he's talked really positively about your club. We'll get your thoughts on that in a second. And obviously the big one, the one that nobody expected, but the excited one. I mean, we didn't expect it because it was sort of odds on that he was always going to go to West Ham, but then all of a sudden Forest have come out of nowhere and got that deal done. Nobody at one point, I think, Rich, I'll get your thoughts on this. At one point, I don't think anybody thought that Lingard was going to find the club, because I think he'd put his ceiling so high with his wages. Nobody knew where his loyalties lied in terms of where he actually wanted to go. We were in the mix a little bit. Were you surprised by that deal in terms of him going to Forest, and what have you made of that?
Yeah, I think I was as surprised as everybody else. Don't get me wrong. I think for Forest, I think it's a fantastic deal, and obviously, Dore's probably over the moon about it. I imagine the majority of the Forest fans are as well. I think the only thing I would be concerned if I was a Forest fan is he there just for the money? For the obviously it's a 1-year deal. So you also could ask about the commitment, but on the business side of things, it's really good for Forest, because obviously if, say for example, the worst happens and touch wood, it doesn't happen, because I think Forest belong in the top flight. If they were to unfortunately get relegated, then they haven't got that financial burden of a huge package to carry on in the Championship next year. So on that front, I think it's good business by Forest on that one. I think the other thing I'd be concerned about possibly was if I've had that determination and from Lingard about whichever club he was going to, it would have had to get a full pre-season in with him. He's left it as late as possible, and it hasn't done that much training in and around his new teammates, whether that would be at West Ham, Forest, or for Newcastle. You want to get your players in as early as possible, and I think he just delayed. And I think, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know what your thoughts on that. Obviously, I know you're over the moon. He's come through the door, but would you have liked to have had him in earlier to get, obviously, because you've got that many playing staff, who were new to this, the whole first 25-man squad, and obviously you look at Fulham last year. Fulham, when they came out the last time, and they had quite a lot of new, a similar sort of turnover of players when they came out as well. So is that something that's a possible concern for you this year as well?
I think, listen to me, like I mentioned, we had to get players in. Like everyone's mentioned about Fulham, like I said, they spent 100 million, whatever they spent. But if I remember rightly, they always bring in players like that wasn't suited for the Premier League. For us, like I said, we've just mentioned all the players that we had. Just Lingard, let's look like I mentioned the position that Steve Cooper plays. That number 10 role is so important because last season we had Zeganel, who was on loan for Watford, hot and cold. But we all know what we're going to get from Jesse Lingard. And the question, like I said, did he come in late at Forest? Maybe he did. I think if he came in earlier, it would be a different conversation. But all it matters is he's played one preseason game. He won't be up to scratch yet, but as I said, I'm happy he's chosen Nottingham Forest. With everyone mentioning about his wages and this and that, listen to me, he's not a Nottingham Forest player. That's all that matters. What he does off the pitch, that's his business. All Forest fans need to know what he does on the pitch, and try and get away us from the bottom three. And we've got a good team. I think we've got a good young side mixed with a little bit of experience. But just Lingard, I think, let's say I personally think he can do well because he's got to do well because it's the World Cup season, and the same with Dean Henderson on loan from Man United. That's been another stir as well. So the players that we've got, I think we've brought in 12 players. We need maybe 2 or 3 more. I'm excited, but just Lingard. We all know just Lingard's a fantastic player, but I think he can do it. Maybe if he does well this season, can he get another contract for Nottingham Forest? We don't know. But all it matters, he does well this season, and we'll see what happens in May.
Definitely. And look, you talked about Jesse Lingard. Richard made some really good points about Jesse Lingard and sort of around the motives of his move to Nottingham Forest. But aside from that, who are the other deals that you've made? You know, we went through the list and we looked at the pictures of the players. Who are the other signings that you've made that you're really excited about? That you're really excited to see play for Nottingham Forest?
As you mentioned, Nico Williams. Everyone assumed that he wouldn't come to Forest, but people need to know the background from that. He had a fantastic relationship with another Welsh player called Brendan Johnson. He had a good connection in a Welsh setup, and everyone knew from a long time he was coming to Forest. So with that situation, that's the reason he came to Forest because Brennan. We talk about the Huddersfield pair, O'Brien and Toffolo. They played good in the playoff final, especially O'Brien. He's a good, hungry player. He reminds me of Jack Colback, ex Newcastle player.
Do we need to get into that?
Yeah. And we've got players. I've got Nakate, another centre back. He comes from Mainz, and he's another strong, young. He was captain of Mainz last season. We got him for 15 million. I saw him pre-season, and he's another great signing. Who else we got? And we mentioned the goalkeepers, and like I said, in the Premier League, you need a good goalkeeper. Yeah. And we got two good goalkeepers in Dean Henderson and Wayne Henderson. Yeah. We know that when Dean Henderson plays against Man U, he can't play. We've got another goalkeeper in Wayne Henderson. So, definitely.
Were you surprised by that deal going through with Henderson? Obviously, you know, he was linked heavily with us, and then it kind of came out the blue that you guys got that deal. You know, Dean Henderson is a super talented goalkeeper. We saw what he did at Sheffield United when they first got promoted. You know, he was one of the best goalkeepers in the league that season. There's no doubt about it. And you know, do you believe he can recapture that form with Forest, with yourselves?
I think he can. I know, like you mentioned, he did fantastic for Sheffield United 2 seasons ago, or what it was. He's come back on loan. He's come back to Manchester United, and he's not going to get number one choice because they've got to keep him De Gea. Yeah. I know everyone saw on TalkSport his little rant, but he wants to play. He wants to play first team football. So how can people moan about his little rant? He wants to play. So he's come to Forest, a team that's been promoted, and I understand. We're a club, we're spending money. He was the second player that we brought at the club, but he wants to prove a point to everyone. He wants to go to the World Cup. Me personally, no disrespect to Newcastle, I think he's the best English goalkeeper in the Premier League. Better than Pope. But
You're throwing shots now, man. Come on. Come on.
Listen, I say consistent. Pope is a good goalkeeper. I think Pope's 30 years old. But Dean Henderson, and me personally, is the best English goalkeeper. It is what it is. I feel that's what it is.
Look, I'm going to let Richie answer this one. Look, Richie, we've had this conversation about Pope, and on Loaded Mag NUFC, we've talked about how good Pope is. We've seen it in pre-season. He's made some fantastic saves. We talk about him in our fan base now. He signed for us is that keeper that could dislodge Pickford. But if you're asking yourself the question, who's better between Henderson and Pope? Who do you think? Because Dore's gone in. He's gone in. He said Henderson's the man. What are your thoughts on this?
Don't get me wrong. I do like Dean Henderson. I think he's probably the best up and coming English goalkeeper, and I think he's a fantastic signing for Forest. I really do. However, I would happily go for a current England National Premier League experience all day long. And
he's played. Well, Richard, the problem with Pope, he played a full season with Burnley, so everyone's going to say, "Oh, Pope's the better keeper." Dean Henderson hasn't played keeper, but I'm saying when he was playing games with Sheffield United, the second season he was fantastic for them. He's not going to get game time at Man United because I think he did play game time. I think he was good. Then he caught COVID. He's not going to replace De Gea. Let's keep it real. And now he's come to Forest.
I've got to say, though, we briefly touched on, I think it was last night, about his interview that he did to Sky the other day, and he came out with some big parting shots to Man United, didn't he? And he was saying he was going back from Sheffield United, believing he was going to be the number one, or at least challenging for it. And then obviously he sat on the bench, and what doesn't what anyone wants to do, really, let alone himself. Do you know what I mean? Because he's at that age now where he's been playing for Sheffield United. He wanted to be playing last season as well. So the good thing for you is you're getting a hungry player, somebody who wants to be playing, someone who's not just going to possibly even learn off Wayne Hennessy, who's a Welsh international as well. So he's going to have someone behind him who's going to be able to support him as well, and give him that encouragement if something doesn't go as planned. Because he's beat the Sheffield. That was a tough season, but he came through that tough season in flying colours. He was probably one of the better players that season, and he's probably going to be similar for that day. He's going to have a lot of work to do this year, I believe, because obviously the majority of new teams. We were there a few years ago. When we came up, all the teams that come up, you always tend to struggle the first couple of seasons. Newcastle have done the most seasons under the previous regime anyway, and that's why Dubravka was he was always at the top of the list of saves and stuff, along with Nick Pope, funnily enough, who he tended to be near the top of the shot stopper league, because they're showing how good a goalkeeper they are because they're having to make saves. And I think for Newcastle fans now, we're hoping that we know we've got a fantastic keeper there to go along with Dubravka. But because of the way that we ended last season and our defence is now, we're hoping he's not going to have to make as many saves. But to be fair, don't get me wrong, I prefer Pope, but I think Henderson's a fantastic signing for yourselves.
He is. I think he is. Like I said, with the Pope situation, like I said, don't get me wrong, Pope's a fantastic goalkeeper and he's a great buy for Newcastle. I know I'm going to defend whoever comes to Forest, blah, 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 but I think he's a young, hungry goalkeeper, and I'm throwing shots. He's better than Pope. Simple as that.
Look, there's some kind of balanced arguments there in the chat. Michael Palmer has said Henderson hasn't played in 2 years. It's hard to judge him right now, which is fair. Fair enough. He's put the problem is though for Henderson, he's had one full season in the top flight. For people to judge him on, that's also a fair point. But the one season he did have, I'd say Michael was a very, very good one. I have to say he was good. If Henderson was better than Pope, we would have brought him. Interesting. There was talks that Man United were trying to sell him over to us for 40 million. Crazy money was apparently offered in comparison to what they allowed Forest to take him for. So there's a different perspective there. Lords, who is an Arsenal fan, has come in and thrown a spanner in the works and said Ramsdale's better than both. I don't agree with that. I don't know what you think, Dior. Do you think Ramsdale's better than either of them?
Listen, Pope and Henderson are better than Ramsdale. He's a clown. He likes to like. It reminds me of Samba when we had Samba last season. He likes to front of it, like he likes to show off in front of the fans, especially the away fans. But there's no chance. Pope and Henderson, no chance.
Look, Lords, what you've done is you've united the two teams with that comment there. We both. That both Pope and Henderson are better than Ramsdale.
They are. Simple as that.
Fourth choice. Get back to fourth choice, Ramsdale. That's what I say. But look, you made those signings. We've talked about some of those signings in there. And one of the signings you talked about as well was Lim OBrien, and you touched on him already. He was, if I'm right in thinking, he was the championship team of the season. They really, really did rate him, and he had a really, really top season at Huddersfield. And it was
that was Toffolo's picture.
Oh, sorry.
That was Toffolo.
But Lim OBrien, I think, has got massive potential, and you talked about him already in terms of how well he's played at Huddersfield. Buying those two together, okay, what are those two going to bring to your Forest team that you didn't already have?
I mentioned like with O'Brien, he reminds me of a Jack Colback, and I've watched all the preseason games, and he's another hungry player that we need. We've got Ryan Yates that can play as well, but with O'Brien, when I watched him against Valencia, when you played more preseason games, blah blah blah, you see the more on the better of him. So with O'Brien, fantastic signing, and yet again he's young. He's young and hungry, and this is what we want for Forest fans. Like in the past, we've brought in players who's 30M and above on stupid wages, and now we've brought in O'Brien, decent player, but I think he can do better. The Toffolo, I think, like I said, we brought in Omar Richards from Bayern Munich. He's going to be our first choice, but Toffolo, I think he's got to prove a point now. Like I said, if Toffolo wants to keep that left back position, he's got to play good. If he doesn't, Rich is going to come straight in and replace him. So, but it's a good problem to have when you've got players like Toffolo and Richardson fighting for the left back position. When we're in the Premier League, like I said, if you play one bad game, you're going to get subbed off. So it's good to have like Toffolo in the team, and like I said, he's a good buyout. Like I said, in the playoff final, both Toffolo and Brian were good. They were the two or three players who stood out. So both of them now are at Forest. Listen to me, it's good. It's a good buy for us.
Definitely. Look, we'll switch tacks a little bit because obviously we talked about Forest and their signings and one or two of them in a little bit of detail. Let's talk about Newcastle United. So obviously Newcastle, we talked about earlier on in the show, had a fantastic end to the season, really turned it round, made some key signings in January and managed to fight to stay in the Premier League after that point. And we've made some good signings. We've done some good deals over the course of the summer. We talked about it just a second ago. The likes of Pope's come in. We've managed to keep, after his loan spell, Matty Targett. Matty Targett's come in at left back from Aston Villa, and we've managed to make that a permanent deal. And then we've gone and really kind of pushed the boat out to sign a top centre-back, in my opinion. And I think Richie agrees with that in Sven Botman, a left-sided centre-back that we've wanted, 22 years old, is primed and primed to be the centre-back partner in the Dutch national team for Virgil van Dijk in years to come. And is on the verge of breaking into the Dutch team hopefully for the World Cup. So, we've made those signings there. Just from your point of view, how do you assess Newcastle United? Did you keep an eye on them over the course of the back end of last season? And what have you kind of made of where we're at right now in the build up to the new season?
When Newcastle got brought, that's all everyone was talking about. like with the richest team in the world now. The players that they've brought in, I'm like I said, everyone expects the richest team in the world. They're going to buy X, Y, and Z players. I'm a little bit disappointed. I personally thought Newcastle will get at least 2 or 3 standout players. I know players want to play Champions League football, blah, blah, blah. It'll take time, but I know you've been linked with James Maddison as well. He could be the first standout player that Newcastle can buy. I know Newcastle got some good players as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just a little bit disappointed. Like I said, I thought they could have brought a few more players, Premier League experience, or maybe, or I don't know, Spanish or whatever league. But I mean, I said when we brought, I thought, we're going to see another Man City.
Yeah.
Another Man City. But I know you manage Eddie Howe, another good young manager and that, but he's going to get players that suits him, that knows him. You just put Botman, good player, another good player as well. I know but I'm a little bit disappointed right now. Like I said, I watch all teams, and I don't see Newcastle being a top 6 team at this moment of time. I know that we've got till September the 3rd or whatever the transfer window closes. If Newcastle can get 2 or 3 players that they know, I'm not saying buy like someone like Neymar. I'm not saying like someone like that. If they can buy someone who can stand out, Newcastle can get top 6. But at this moment of time, I just don't think they are. But you never know. This Premier League is mad. So
you're absolutely right. It can change in an instant, and that's the situation that we're in. So, you know, we've obviously made those 3 signings. We've got another 3 or 4 weeks to go in that window. You know, what you're saying, Dore, is no different, I think, to what myself and Rich and the rest of the Loaded team have been talking about in our transfer shows every week. In that we've made some solid signings, but those attacking players, those marquee standout signings, are yet to come in. And you talked about James Maddison, and you know, obviously we put 2 bids in for him. It's a question mark whether a 3rd one's going to be in. Some are saying it will, some are saying it won't. Some interesting comments from a friend of the channel, Ben Jacobs, who we actually have coming onto the show tomorrow night to talk Newcastle United, where he mentioned about the potential or the comments from Brendan Rodgers to say that you know, they have to basically sell before they buy, even with the likes of Schmeichel and 1 or 2 others going. So that is interesting in terms of Newcastle's standpoint. We'll wait and see whether a bid materialises. But you know, Richie, from your point of view, you know, do you disagree with anything that Dore said with regards to being a little bit underwhelmed from a Nottingham Forest perspective?
I don't know, because it's a weird one to look at, because obviously Dawes said there, and I think it's a lot of other teams looking from the outside in Newcastle expected Newcastle to throw the cash about. You know, they were expecting, and I think it was we've discussed before about lazy journalism regards, you know, they're all excited possibly, we're going to go for the Messis, the Neymars, the Mbappes of the world. When Newcastle fans were pretty much going, we're not going to do that. We're not going to be looking to get world-class marquee signings at this stage. It's just not going to happen. You know, and we've had this conversation numerous times about FFP, and I know some people are saying FFP doesn't make a difference. We've still got loads we can spend, and this, that, and the other. That's for a different show. But I like the fact that we've gone around and, you know, we've spent over 150 million now so far in 2 transfer windows. And we discussed this last night. We dreamed that, you know, we would be happy, over the moon if we'd said this time last year that we would spend that amount of money over the last 2 windows. We would be over the moon with it, because it's never ever happened before. And we're still looking to have that checkbook out for the rest of the summer window. Where, you know, we probably agreed with what Dore says there. Newcastle probably do need 2 additional players this window in forward areas, which, you know, we've said many times on this show. And you know, the Maddisons, the Paquetas, the people that will link that are the caliber of player that could take us to, as to what Dore saying, possibly a top 6 side. You know, me and Pete both mentioned last night, we probably think we're aiming for a comfortable 8th, possible 7th. Let's see if we can challenge for that Europa Conference place. That's a really progressive season from last year. But if Newcastle can start the season well, which sometimes we don't tend to do, if we can carry on the form that we had at the end of last year, and we were, I think it was top 3 in form wise for the Premier League the second half of the season last year, then who knows what's possible? We don't know, because the way the squad is together, the belief they're all fighting on the front together. There's such a a togetherness between all the players in the squad, and everyone knows their roles. And sometimes you don't need to be world class caliber players. You can average players can become good players can become great players can become international world class players as well. So we've seen a lot of what's happening. Some of the players that we had at the start last year to how they finished the year. Anything's possible. And regards to transfer window, we've discussed it a few times. Probably you're looking at a 6 or a 7 so far out of 10. But that's not over yet. Do you know what I mean? We've still got 3 and a bit weeks or so to go see what happens.
Definitely. So that's definitely a fair point raised there. But yeah, it's always interesting to see opposition fans' point of view with regards to some of the signings. That is for sure. But look, we'll move on to another section, and we'll keep it with the theme of Forest and Newcastle, because both myself and Mr. Dore wrote an article today, or it was published today for BBC Sport around the conversation: who is the bigger club? Is it Nottingham Forest with their European Cup, or is it Newcastle with their string of sort of top division titles? And so, yeah, we both wrote them. So I wrote a little piece in there for Loaded Mag NUFC, and gave my reasons why. And obviously Dore is giving his reasons of why he thinks they are the bigger club. So look, I'll let you, Mr. Dore, have your opinion. So, why do you think that Nottingham Forest are potentially the bigger club?
Let's talk about history. I know everyone pipes up about, we talk about history, blah, blah, blah. But everyone talks about history. Liverpool talk about history. Man U talk about history. Man City, have they got history? No, they haven't. We've not been in the Premier League for 23 years. And right now, I won't say we're a big club, but the history says we are. Everyone says, everyone's been waiting for Forest to be in the Premier League because of the history that we have. If we didn't have a history, people like this, we don't want Forest, we prefer Huddersfield. So we are a big club. Right now, Newcastle are a bigger club than Forest because they've been in the Premier League for so many years now. But a history, you cannot remove history from Forest. Simple as that. And if people are daft enough to say, like I said, I put in my column, and the great man said, Brian Clough said, if you're daft enough to write us off, then yeah, it is what it is. But we like I say, the question is, like I said, about it measures how big. That's the thing. It's how big we are. We are big. Everyone knows who we are. So if people want to talk about history, then I can talk forever. By it.
You know what? It's a fair point, and a few people have said in the chat and on Twitter as well that it was quite a sort of maybe an unfair question to put to both of us, really, in the predicaments that we're both in the situation, and maybe that's why they did it, to create a little bit of a discussion and debate about it. I don't know. But it is a difficult situation, which is why I think I touched on my point in sort of bringing it back in terms of what a lot of fans think now. Now, speaking to a lot of fans, whether they're Newcastle fans, Forest fans, or whoever, a lot of fans just kind of pigeonhole themselves into the Premier League era. and they forget about what's happened before. They forget about everything else before the Premier League in 1992. And I think that was why I kind of like came and homed in on the fact that that's not necessarily my thoughts, but that's what in general people think now, is that your club is associated or considered based on what's happened since 1992. And some people joke about it, but it's a genuine thought. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Richie. About this topic, because it is an interesting talk, an interesting topic about who's the bigger club and why people think that either Forest or Newcastle are bigger than each other. It's
an interesting one because like I know you mentioned it's you could turn around and say right, Newcastle are a bigger stadium, that means they're a bigger club, and that's not a fair comparison because there's nothing to say that Forest couldn't sell that if they had, a stadium like that in Nottingham. You don't know that. Are Newcastle a bigger team, as you said, in the Premier League era? Yes, that's probably because we've been in the Premier League the majority of the Premier League era. But on a historical basis, right, and this is nice, I'd actually agree with Dore on this. It's similar to you look at Leeds as well. You could possibly even go back to Derby. Derby had some really good teams.
Oh, you had to bring them on, did you? Listen, it's a Forest and Newcastle tour. They're in League One. We're not talking about them.
Rivals up.
I'm talking teams with historical.
They haven't got no history, man. What have they got? Put in the comment. Let's talk about if what history they got. They got no history. What history they got? Forget about them.
Oh, I love getting bites, Mike Pete. It's good, isn't it? But go back to Newcastle and as I said, and Forest, and as I said, Leeds. All those clubs have had history. You've won the European Cup. Before you look at when Newcastle was still getting to FA Cup finals in the late 90s. We were up there with the winners of the FA Cup. So we were in the top 6 to have won the FA Cup in this country. Obviously we've won the Fairs Cup as well. But I think the problem is, the history is there for both clubs, but we haven't really done anything achievement-wise, in recent years, which I think you touched on in the article. We haven't really won anything since the 90s, any of us really. You look at the 80s and stuff like that, where that's where your major achievements, unless you're winning playoff finals or you're winning the championship or whatever, But the money that's in the game now is a lot different. Do you know what I mean? But so historically, both very, very big English traditional clubs. Going from now Premier League era, I think at the start, I think you would say Newcastle are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Forest can't become part of it and stay there going forward. The owner seems to be wanting to make a stamp on things. He's really passionate about driving the club forward, which is really nice to see. He said they were going to, give it a go. And I hope they do, because as I said, Forest belong in the top flight. And that's where you want to see clubs like that in the top flight. You want to see the best teams and with the best history as well in English football in the top flight. There's probably some teams that, like Bournemouth, who would be in the Premier League a lot more recent than what Forest have. But if you went over to Europe and you're talking to the teams in Germany, fans in Germany, Italy, Spain, they'll certainly know who Forest are over Bournemouth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's another way you look at how big a club is, and that's because they know Forest have been European champions. Yeah. So it proves that both clubs are big in their own right.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's more than fair, for sure. And it was like I say, it was an interesting one to kind of write about, because you could quite easily go down a number of different alleys that could rile up a number of fans. And even where when it was posted out, I think some of the comments on the BBC Sport website were quite interesting off the back of that. But look, it's one that will rumble on. I think there's one fair point actually that one person's put in the chat, and I think it's Tim C. I'll just click this on. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, sorry.
And it's Tim C's put, this has to be measured in the coming years. And I think that's fair in terms of, we're both playing Premier League football now. Let's see how it's kind of measured out. You know, playing in different leagues for so many years, it's not quite the same. But let's see how it kind of measures out in the coming years. But as you say, we cannot forget the history and the trophies and the success that both clubs have had beforehand. You just can't, because the clubs ultimately didn't just exist from 1992, and that's been a constant conversation. At this point now, I think there's been a few questions for Dore in the chat. So I don't know, Richie, if you want to.
Lisa, regular on the show, obviously she'll be at the game on Saturday as well. She says, question for Dore: how does the Forest fan base feel about the match with us on Saturday?
Excited because like we're back in the Premier League. Like I said, it's been 23 years, and like I said, we know what we spoke about it with Newcastle being the richest team in the world, and to be up against a team like I said, it's going to be. I'm not going to talk about Newcastle. We're talking about the whole season. Yeah, we had a great season last season. I'll keep it real. We're going to have more downs and ups, but just to be in the Premier League and going to St James's Park against them. Is it 52,000 attendance? It's going to be a crazy atmosphere, and we'll give our a good shout. You'll hear us from the trenches. I'm excited. I can't wait, and it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game, and football's back. And as a football fan, I'm just buzzing to be back in the Premier League.
I just want to slightly twist that round, actually, Dore. Obviously, we played a couple of times in the Championship within the last 10 years or so. Did you ever come up to St James's Park when you played in the Championship? We played in the Championship.
Never been. This is going to be my first time.
I was going to say, because I wanted to think what you thought, if you had been, at what you thought of the atmosphere then. Because I'm telling you now, you'll not. If you'd seen what what you'd experienced possibly then, you would not expect what you're going to expect on Saturday. You know, the better. You know, we look back at our last home game of last season against Arsenal, and basically that. I'll put this the politest way possible. Their arses dropped. They did not. That's like the team. They did not know what had hit them. Coming with the fans, you know, the way they got behind Newcastle, and obviously it's a big step of coming from the Championship to the Premier League anyway. And I want to go there and enjoy the game on Saturday, full stop. And I just hope that you aren't daunted, if that makes sense, because obviously it can be intimidating, and Newcastle is the fortress it used to be now. You know, when we were in the entertainers' days and stuff like that. Our home form last season was pretty good as well, so I just want to see you do really well and you know, put across that you belong in the Premier League. Obviously, I don't want you to get any points off us on Saturday. I don't believe you will either. You know what I mean? I wish you well for the rest of the season, but I'd like, you know, I think it's going to be as I put in our tweet, is it a baptism of fire possibly for you coming to Newcastle first game of the season?
No, because like I said, if you remember, like I said. After what happened to us last season, the first 7 games was awful. With an ex-Newcastle manager, Chris Hughton, and we was looking forward to League One football, but then now what Steve Cooper did, and now coming to St James's Park, daunting. Like I said, listen, mate, I've always rated Newcastle fans. I know you're going to get upset when I say I like Sunderland fans as well. They've got a good fan base as well. I've always got a fan of.
Is that his dig back because I mentioned Dom?
No. I've always rated.
What's going on, man?
No. I've always rated Newcastle fans because, especially away from home as well, they always do a good following. When they came to Forest, I think we beat you 3-1, 3-2 in the league, I think it was. You've always been a good following, and you always shout loud. Coming to St James's Park, yes, you're gonna hear the Newcastle fans singing, but it's not really daunting. We're ready. We're ready for that. Anyone, like any fans that give it a banter, we're ready. I'm excited, and all Forest fans, like I said, it's going to be a good journey. Good journey.
One thing I'm going to ask you quickly is that obviously this is your first time at St James's Park. Have you been training for the?
I've been asked this. I've been asked this so many times. Listen to me, right? If Newcastle can give me some lift, just for me, I'll be fine. But I've been training, running around. I can't listen to me. My mate said he give me a piggyback. So
I was going to say, all the training in the world can't prepare you for level 7 steps, Mike.
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
I've got to face some of myself with the bed on Saturday as well, so I know exactly what you can go to. It's
level 7.
We're in the family enclosure bit, yeah.
Quality.
So yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, first time at St James Park, and it's going to be a great atmosphere for both clubs. I'm excited. I'm excited.
As I wrote in the article for BBC Sport today, Newcastle hands down have the best fan-led flag display in the country in war flags, and they are planning something special for the first game of the season. So, for all Nottingham Forest fans and for yourself, Dore, get yourself in there a little bit early before the game, just because it'll be a spectacle. Like the last time I was there was the Leicester City game, where we won 2-1, and the flags and the atmosphere and the war flags were just on a different level. Honestly, it's even for the away fans. We've had so many away fans that have spoken about how good it is, and they've experienced it off the back end of last season, where we really kind of took it to town, and that adds to what Richie said in terms of it being a fortress. With the opposition fans, I know that you're saying obviously you guys are not worried about coming to Newcastle. You don't see it as a team that, or like a baptism of fire, as Richie said. But there's been a lot of good teams. We'll throw Arsenal into the mix there. Last home game of the season that came to St James's Park, and they suffered because they suffered over the pressure of playing at St James's Park in this new era for our club. So I hope that and I know that the war flags will be absolutely on point. 52,000 sellout. It's going to be a fantastic occasion, and you know what? I'm really happy that Forest are the first club to experience that. I really am, because I think it will be a tremendous game. Richie touched on it as well. I think it'll be a really, really entertaining game. I think there'll be goals in the game. I think it'll be a really entertaining game. I don't know from your perspective, Richie, Dore. Just going to ask you something slightly before we go on to some other questions. Are you guys surprised that this is not on TV?
Yeah.
I am personally.
100%.
I'm shocked that it's not on TV. Look, I was expecting it to be. Like, why do you think it's not?
Big boys, like, it's always the top 6 clubs, isn't it? They're always going to talk about the top 6 clubs, and it is what it is. But I don't know why. It's ridiculous. I personally, if it was reversed, if Forest were playing Newcastle at the City Ground, I think he would be on TV, because it's like, as you know, City Ground is famous, and but I'm a little bit disappointed. Like, it's not on TV. But it is what it is. We're playing each other. We're gonna beat you again.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. But it's good. We're both gonna have fun. That's all it matters. That's all it matters.
Richie, are you surprised it's not on TV?
A little bit, yeah. But I think it's like what Dawes said. I think if it'd been the away fixture for Newcastle, I think it probably would have been on there, because it's that, you do your cup tie type thing. It's the underdogs at home against the what's seen as the bigger team sort of thing coming to it's a tricky fixture, it's a bananas game. And that's what it would have been. Newcastle possibly going to the City Ground first game this season. We slipped on that a couple of years ago when Norwich came up. We went to Norwich, their first game of the season, and they turned us over under Steve Bruce. So it's probably for us, it's better that we've got Forest at home, and we go to them later in the year. But yeah, I'm potentially a little bit disappointed that the Sky have gone with the usual sorts for opening day and stuff like that. And but to be fair, Newcastle do tend to do well on TV fixtures during the whole season. We are one of the ones that are outside the Big Six, which is covered the most. So hopefully, Forest can establish themselves a bit more in the Premier League, and they'll be on TV. I think that, they were covered quite a lot in the Championship, like we were when we were in the Championship as well. So it bodes well if you can establish yourself back in the Premier League. That you'll probably see the TV coverage and obviously the TV money, which will help the club going forward as well. So it's it is what it is, though, isn't it? With Sky, we know what they're like. As long as they don't move one in April, that we know we definitely don't want moving, Peter.
Yes. Southampton at home in April. That needs to stay exactly where it is, because we've got a full 3-day plan in place for where the loaded boys are finally going to, all 5 of us, meet together for the first time after a couple of years. But we need to make sure that stays as it is. So if the Premier League are watching it, and I'm sure they are, don't change anything. Keep it exactly how it is right now. But ultimately, if it was on TV, it would change times. It would mean that people getting there, it could change things in terms of people attending. So, from that point of view, it means that we can have a really good build up to the game. You mentioned, Dore, as you mentioned before we came on air, you're going to get there relatively early and be able to sample the city before you're able to come into the ground. I'm going to be the same. Myself and Richie. Daz is going to be attending for the first time, coming over from Ireland. Chris is coming over from Liverpool. So, we're going to be able to meet for the first time, and we need time to do. If it was an early kickoff, which it would have likely have been if it was on TV, that would have maybe hampered things. So I'm kind of glad that it's not. But you're right in what you said, Richie, is that I actually think I could be wrong. I think we're on TV more than Chelsea last season. And I think outside of the top 6, we were the ones that were on TV the most. And even under in a Mike Ashley era, we were still on TV a hell of a lot. And that says a lot. So I think, although we're not on TV this week, we'll have our fair share over the course of the season. But I think there's a few more questions in there before we go on.
There's a good one. A good one here from Shane, our regular from the other side of the globe. Dore, how many of the lads who got promoted last season will start the season with all the signings that you've completed?
Joe Worrell, Brennan Johnson. I don't know about Ryan Yates, if he's injured or not. It's funny, but I said we had most of them were loan players and players that were out of contract. So and Scott McKenna. Scott McKenna is definitely going to play. So McKenna, Worrell, Johnson, Ryan Yates. That's it.
It sort of leads to actually good build with this question as well. So, Jack Colback.
And Jack Colback. I forgot about Jack Colback. And Jack Colback. Like I said, I think he's 50-50 because he's played all the preseason games in centre midfield. We brought in Mangala as well from Schalke. So
how has Jack Colback played for you, Dore? How has he been since obviously he had a loan spell with you guys? I think he had maybe a couple of loan spells with you before he made it permanent and he moved. How has he been? Because look, let's be honest, and I think Richard will agree with this. Jack Colback, when we wanted him out the door, we wanted him gone. He was part of he wasn't even part of the 25-man squad, but just was training with the team every day. He wasn't playing, but we were still paying him relatively high wages. We were glad when he went. How has he been for you since he signed for you permanently, and how influential was he last season in your promotion push?
I'll be honest with you. I like his first loan spell. He got 15 yellow cards.
Nothing's changed then.
and there was nothing. And I thought, we've got this player again. Like the second loan spell, I thought, for frick's sake, what him again? Like blah blah blah. But only Chris Houghton, he didn't get a chance. He didn't get a look in at all. And then Steve Cooper come in, and he was a completely changed player. And I had to put my head in the sand and say, how wrong was I? Because with players, right? You play for a Premier League club for a reason. You're a footballer for a reason. And like I said, he started centre midfield alongside Ryan Yates, and it was fantastic. And then because we had our main left back got injured, he had to play left back. And all Forest fans were saying, "Oh no, he's not going to do well." And again, he proved every Forest fan wrong. He's doing well left back, scoring wonder goals, playing left back. And last season, I think it's got to be top of his career the way he was playing. So with the way he was, and especially when we had a young side as well, playing alongside with Ryan Yates, James Garner. He was very, very, very good, and he was my player of the season last season. So for me, he was great, and hopefully, on a personal note, I want him to start against Newcastle just to prove a point, because I know you mentioned you lot wanted him out, but to prove a point, if he scores a late winner, I'll be buzzing.
Look, I'm not massively worried about it, but it's in the back of my mind because he's already done it for Sunderland at St James's Park before. He's already scored against us for Sunderland, so it is something that's playing on my mind. And you know, we always see Richie when we have ex-players or players that have left us in a bit of a sour note come back to haunt us on occasion. What are your thoughts about that Colback?
It's difficult one because you thought when he Geordie coming back when he signed from Sunderland, and there was always that issue originally, and you were hoping that he was going to deliver for us, but he always flattered to deceive, didn't he? And it was made pretty clear that when he was on his way out, but he seemed to be dragging his feet and didn't want to go, and then we did everything to get him out, and then obviously he was, as I think he said, he was on loan at Forest. God knows how many times before they made the deal permanent and stuff. But he always seemed to be a bit of a hothead on the pitch, which it seems to be still the case.
He was with Forest. He was a hot-headed. Booking after booking. I'm like, oh, for frick's sake, this guy's he's giving me a headache. But now I love him. So. Yeah.
So some people turn around and look at it the way around, so that he's passionate about who he's playing for and stuff like that, and he's trying to give it all, and sometimes that give it all might mean you're half a yard too slow and you pick up a boot when you're going for a tackle and stuff like that. But I think, touch wood again, I'm hoping that this is a Newcastle ex-player coming back that won't be haunting us on Saturday, and I don't think he will, unless he's planning a wonder goal like he did towards the end of the season from the touchline. That he got for Forest towards the end of the season. That might be the only way he does something like that against Newcastle on Saturday. But there's some fantastic questions coming in here for Dore that we've got to get through these because it's just they're fantastic. So have a look. There's Gary Milligan. He's put a good comment in there. Forest is actually a good away day with NEWNOT not too far away for him. There's Simon, who's Shy Ben's one of our sponsors. Where does he think Forest will finish this season?
Away from the bottom three. That's all that matters. Stay away from the bottom three. That's what and let's keep it real. Like I said, it's the first time back in after 23 years. Just stay clear from bottom three. But I've said if we'll finish 10th, we'll surprise teams. We know, like I said, it's going to be tough. But I think we'll finish 10th.
Confidence.
Yeah.
You've got to come. It's the players that we've got. Like I said, we brought some good players in. Like I said, we've got a good English goalkeeper, the best English goalkeeper in the Premier League. Simple as that.
Nah. Second best.
But if Jesse Lingard is on his game, he's going to score a few goals for us as well. So
I think the one thing we'll agree on regards goalkeepers, right? Henderson and Pope are both better than Ramsdale.
Yes. We'll take that. I'll take that.
There we go.
With his little arms, yeah.
Listen, if any Arsenal fans want to get rattled, just go away. We don't care.
We're not here for that. We're not
here for that.
Tim Cairns put a really good tweet about the war flags display. Obviously, you touched on it before, Pete, about the displays are fantastic. And they believe that they're going to be honouring Frank Clark on Saturday, a legend of both clubs.
Legend.
You know what I mean? So that would be really nice.
He's going to be there. I think he's there.
I think so. Yeah, I think he is. So that it's going to be nice that I always like this. I like this sort of thing. Like we've got that, link with Ipswich because it's Sir Bobby and stuff like that. I think it's really nice when you have, a legend of two clubs and they come together, you invite them back to the club sort of thing, and both clubs can pay respect and stuff like that. So I think that's a nice one. It's a good touch by War Flags. But there, Tim then goes on to ask, Astor, what is his standout game this season? Or potential rival sort of thing?
You know what? Everyone keeps asking this question. Everyone talks about Leicester, but I don't generally care about Leicester. Don't care about Leicester.
Me neither.
Yeah, so they're trying to force a rivalry. Like, yes, the East Midlands, we get it, we understand it, but it's Forest and Derby. Like, they're just a team like across the road, waving for, can we join in? No, we don't. I generally don't care. Like, we beat you 4-1 in the FA Cup, easy. But for me personally, I know, I think it was in the 80s, late 80s, we had Liverpool. I know everyone talks about Liverpool and Man U, blah blah, but Liverpool's always there. But for me personally, I don't know, Leicester. I've got to say Leicester, don't I? But yeah, Leicester, Liverpool. I'll say Leicester because someone's got to feel sorry for him. So yeah, Leicester.
Fair enough. I just want to move tack slightly because I know we're thinking about time. I want to talk setups for Saturday's game. I want to talk a little bit of tactics now. I asked you Dore, your lineup for Saturday, and I know Rich, you've got your lineup separately as well. So I'm gonna just share the screen just for a second, just because I put a little bit of a tactics window in here, and we've brought it back for another season. Can we see that?
Yeah, it's loading up. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So obviously, in that formation, I've got the team that I think that Newcastle will start with on Saturday. But what's interesting is obviously Nottingham Forest is set up, and it's slightly different to the traditional teams. You've gone for a 3-4-1-2 for your lineup. So Dore, just talk to us about your lineup. Why you think they're going to line up that way, and what style of football do the Forest tend to play?
The reason I chose this formation because that's the way Cooper plays. And when you look at players like Warrow, Nakati, and McKenna, strong defenders, and we've got experienced goalkeeper in Henderson, we play fast football. And if Newcastle or do like on the break, and then we've got players, we've got a fast front three in Lingard, Johnson, and Tyler Wadney. So we are an attacking team. So Newcastle got to be careful. Like, if they mess up in that midfield role, like say Colback or O'Brien, they'll bully that. They'll bully if it's Bruno, Willock as well. So if they mess up, we'll attack. So we'll always hold it on how we play. But we are attacking team. Like people like we got Williams and Toffolo, they'll do loads of work as well. But we always know that is ASM and number one as well. They have got pace, so we've got to be careful what we do. So it's good. Listen, it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a battle in that midfield, if I'm honest. Yeah. And whoever wins that battle is going to win the game.
It always is a battle for us in that midfield. That midfield three of ours: Joe Linton, Bruno Gomes. I've gone with Joe Willock here. Richie might be thinking slightly different with his midfield three, but I've gone with Joe Willock purely because of that battering aspect and thinking about legs. We've got the likes of Joe Linton that can get forward and get back. He's like the Terminator. He just never ever gives up. He's just constant back and forth. He's a bully at times. Joe Willock's got that pace to getting in behind the work rate. They like to press forward and commit players high up the pitch. Bruno Gomes can do everything, and you'll probably see a little switch play during the game in that either Joe Linton or Willock will sit in, and you'll see that that Bruno Gomes will try and get himself forward to support Wilson. So it'll be really interesting. But the interesting point of view, and Richard, I get your thoughts on this, is the back two. So I've gone Botman, and it's been a topic of conversation in the Newcastle camp, Newcastle fans, social media, about who's going to start at the back. A lot of people have said Burn and Shaw. A lot of journalists, Newcastle journalists, have said Burn and Shaw are going to start. I think when you pay £33 million for a centre back, that he has to play, and he's been outstanding in pre-season. So for me, Botman starts in that position on the left-hand side of defence with Shaw. Both of them are extremely good ball-playing centre-backs with a fantastic ball player in Bruno Guimaraes in front of them. Target and Trippier like to get forward. I think it's a very, very attacking formation. I don't know what your thoughts on this are, Richie, and would you do things any differently? Would you? What was your lineup? I know we can't put it on the screen right now, but what was there anything different that you put on there?
Do you know what? It's same formation, same back line as well, same goalkeeper. I think the interesting thing that Eddie Howe's done regards the centre back partnership is he's pretty much kept them apart over pre-season. During we've seen more Shaw and Burn and Botman and Lascelles as a partnership, and I know that Jordan Cohen, a friend of the channel and from journalist from Newcastle World, he mentioned about he felt it could be Shaw and Burn, or even mentioned Lascelles and Botman myself, but you've got two fantastic centre backs there. Ball players. You look at that. There was a clip trending on Twitter the other day from the Athletic game, where the Bruno shot, which was saved in the build-up play, how we passed it round, in the right back area, and Botman got the ball in that defence split and pass that he that ball that literally, it went over the halfway line. He just dissected, the front line and the midfield, and then Newcastle were away. And the way they broke as well was really good football. And Shaw's always been capable of that, but now we've got another centre back who's capable of that as well. But are also both good defenders as well. The only change I had different, I had Longstaff instead of Willock, and the reason why I had Longstaff there was he's had a really good pre-season. And if you looked at the game against, especially he did it against Benfica, he did it against Atlanta. When we lost the ball, the track back, and there was a lot of fantastic slide tackling to win the ball back higher up the pitch. But not just that, I remember the way he finished last season. If you look at the way that he was playing with Bruno and Joe Linton, especially in that Arsenal game, when he's playing, when he won the ball back outside the box, I've just touched on before from the friendlies. And then he won the ball back when Arsenal tried to play out. And then he obviously set Callum Wilson up with that lovely little through ball before before Bruno put the second attempt away. He's that confidence since, Eddie Howe's got a hold of him. He signed his contract. He's got that belief back again. The thing you mentioned about the reason why you picked Willock was because of the legs. I think that could be a factor later in the game, possibly. If we're seeing Longstaff tiring, Willock could come back in, and then, Colback's aging a little bit now, sort of thing. So you start to think, would Willock's fresh energy from the bench be something that could be a really big asset for us on Saturday going forward? But that was the only, thing that was different from your lineup. I believe Almiron deserves his chance on the right-hand side. He's had a fantastic pre-season. Hopefully, that he carries that on into the normal season. But I think everybody else pretty much picks for themselves.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I think a few in the chat have mentioned it as well about, one or two have said the only maybe change there could be in the team for them was maybe the Longstaff and Willock change. And to be honest, I didn't know who to pick. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I thought Longstaff could really push for that midfield three because of how well he played at Turf Moor at the end of the season and against Arsenal. In fact, he played really, really well when Willock was injured, and so I wouldn't argue against either of them starting. I've got to be honest, but Longstaff would allow the switch here, and Longstaff can do that job. And that will allow Bruno to get forward. And when Bruno's in this position and allowed to get forward, that's when he's caused so many problems. But just before we get to predictions, because I know Dore, you got to go soon. What was interesting, not just about the formation and the setup of your team for Nottingham Forest, there was a couple of things that was interesting. That Brennan Johnson, who predominantly is a right-sided attacker, you've got him setting up in a forward too. And actually, you know, if anyone's playing fantasy football, we've got a loaded fantasy football, so get yourself involved in that. But what's interesting that the Premier League fantasy football have got Brennan Johnson as a forward. You've got him as a forward here. I'm interested to know your thoughts on that. But also, you've got Lingard playing as sort of a number 10 role, whereas I would have thought he would have been on the left here, Brennan Johnson on the right here, and you'd had two attacking wingers really going at our fullback. So what are your thoughts around that? I mean, you've said Steve Cooper likes to play that type of formation. What are your thoughts on Lingard and Johnson playing there?
The thing with Johnson, like I said, when he first got in the stage of Forest, he played more of a winger. But then when Steve Cooper come in, because he's fast and he's getting stronger and stronger every time we play a game. Then that number 9 was so important for Forest, but he can play as a number 9. He can be a winger, but he's more effective as a number 9 now, because when we brought the new player Tabo Iwone, let's mention Davis. We got Davis from Aston Villa last season, and it made Brennan Johnson even play better. Now we've got Tabo Iwone, who's come from Union Berlin. I think it will even make Brennan Johnson even play better.
Yeah.
So with the Jesse Lingard situation, if we do play a league, I don't know, we could play a 4-3-3. Jesse Lingard could play left or whatever right, or Johnson could play left and play right. For Steve Cooper, he likes to be flexibility, and that's what he got to be in the Premier League. Because if you stick with one position and then you've not got a plan B or plan C, you're going to get messed up. And this is what we love about Steve Cooper, because like in the Championship, if it's not happening in the first 60th minute, he'll change things. And this is why we play like Brennan Johnson, he can play that number 9 role, or if it's not working for he can play him on the left. So it's so important. Like I said, with that front three, we can change, and we can change. And we've got players that can. I don't know. We've got Alex Maiton as well. Can come on, change the game as well. But we can see Toffolo and Williams as well. It's important for them as well. Just changing around. So it is important that we do have a plan B, plan C when if Johnson plays up number 9 or the wingers.
And I've just kind of moved the players around because I see you've talked about maybe changing things as the game goes on. The way in which I've changed the Forest team is how maybe I see it maybe going as the game goes on. Is that Iwone plays as that central striker, and then you've got Brennan Johnson that can drift out onto the right, but also make those runs in there. Lingard being the same on the left hand side, but equally, as the game goes on, you've got the likes of if Nico Williams is getting forward and Toffolo is getting forward, Almiron is deceptively quick. Alison Maximin is a tricky player. Nico Williams is going to maybe have a baptism of fire, that word that Richie used, in terms of that right-hand side, because he's going to want to get forward. He's that type of player. But ASM is going to be committing players all over the shop. The only team I've seen handle that in this formation of Spurs Forest is actually Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, is that Alison Maximin still got some joy in between these two players, but actually they managed it well, and they had Christian Romero that really managed that well in that position. So Worrell, if he does play there, is going to have to do a really, really good job in managing that. But look, just before we wrap up, because I know you've got to go, just a quick prediction from you to wrap up the show. 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Saturday afternoon. What do you think the score is going to be? Newcastle against Forest.
Listen to me. I said it's going to be an amazing game. Amazing game. Will I take a point? 1,000%. I'll take a point. But I know with Newcastle, when I mentioned Newcastle, I've not got a standout player. They've still got a good team. Let's keep it real. They've still got a good side. But I think I've got a good feeling like we beat you lot in the League Cup two or three seasons ago. We beat you 3-2. I personally think we can get a result there. And I know these Newcastle fans in the comments are going to go for my neck.
This is one prediction from
see.
Michael Palmer, always there to.
What Michael didn't state was that callback had been sent off in the first minute.
I personally think we'll win 2-1.
2-1. Wow. Okay. I tell you what, the confidence has ran through you all night tonight, and
but it is what it is. Like I say, you can't like Newcastle. They've got a great side, but I personally think the way we was last season. I know we've changed the team and all, but we've got the people in the same position. Like I said, Lingard, that number 10 role, so important. When I watched him against Valencia, I thought, wow. And I personally think he's going to rustle Newcastle the midfield feathers, and we can get a result. But see, I'm saying it 2-1 Forest.
2-1 Forest. Interesting. Richie, what are you thinking? 5 p.m. Saturday. What's the score?
Do you know what? I'll give Dory's dues, right? He's got it back his own team. Do you know what I mean? And it's fair enough if that's what he believes. But the first one, and I'm going to comment on it because Michael's back as well. He will see on Saturday that Bruno is a stellar player. He's just said that we haven't got any standout players. Watch Bruno on Saturday. That's all I'll say. But, we've got other players on there as well. We've got some fantastic players that are very underrated and people don't talk about them often. And what the good thing is, as we mentioned before, they work as a team. And as a team on Saturday, first game of the season, we want to start the league like we finished against Arsenal last year. And I think it'll be a similar sort of scoreline. But I think we'll win by two clear goals.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm obviously Dore absolutely spot on tonight on the show, but I think we're going to win 3-0. I've got to be honest. I think we're going to win 3-0. I think there's a little bit of underestimation.
You think we're not going to score? Come on, you've got to give some.
I don't. Honestly, I think you're underestimating us. I think you're underestimating.
No, I'm not. No.
What I'm saying is our defensive record in the back end of last season, and then we're adding Sven Botman to that. Trippier hadn't played for God knows how long last season.
14 and 19 in that run piece.
Our defensive record was spot on, and I think that will continue on Saturday. I'm a little bit worried about one or two players, but I think maybe the occasion will get to them. So I'm going to go 3-0 Newcastle United. As Geordie Toon for Life has just put in the chat, I am with him 100%. But I think it's going to be an entertaining game, and I don't think it's going to be all our way. I think Forest are going to cause us some problems. But regardless of that, it's going to be a great occasion. Great to have you back in the Premier League, Mr. Dore. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. I know you've got to shoot. You've got to get off right now. So I'll let you go before we see out the show. So massive thanks to you. Always a pleasure. And in the return fixture, we'll get you on again to talk more Forest, and hopefully you're well safe by then, and we're in the top 6.
Listen to it. All it matters, right? We get more points in Derby, because I know they've got the worst team in history, but we get more points in Derby. I think it's 12 points. I think it is. If we get more points than them, I'm more than happy. But listen to me. I think we'll be above you lot when we play you lot again.
Oh my God, you are the first to show unbelievable levels of confidence, and look, I love it. I think it's great. It's all good banter, all good talk, and you know what? I'll be definitely worried if you're got more points than us the next time we see you. But let's wait and see. But I'll let you go, Dore. We'll speak to you very, very soon. You take care, top man.
And make sure everyone subscribes to my channel, man. Like I said,
yes.
I'm doing. Yes.
Do it. But before you go, tell them where you're at.
Yeah, like I said, I'm Dore on tour. This is my way it is. I do vlogs, I do previews, I do all Forest related stuff. So, but yeah, you want to follow me just if you can. It helps my channel. Like everyone, make sure everyone subscribes to these lot as well. So it help everyone out. And yeah, I can't wait. And it's gonna be a great season. I can't wait to see you lot boys on Saturday.
Definitely. I'll drop you a message when I've touched down in Newcastle. And
we'll catch up.
I've already subscribed to Mr. Dore on tour. Make sure you do. I'll catch you Saturday, mate. You take care. Speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me on, and peace and love, people.
Cheers to all the best, mate.
Cheers, dude. Thank you.
Great to have him on. I tell you what, the confidence is running high in the Forest camp at the moment. He is 2-1 at St James's Park. He could well be right, but Richie, I don't think he will be.
No, I don't as well.
Be honest.
No, I don't as well. I hope it's not. We've got a different animal now compared. When we came up last time, and I think we lost our first home game. Was it Huddersfield or something? When we came up last time and we lost at home, and so yeah, it's happened before, but I just can't see it happening again.
Yeah, no, it was them. It was Huddersfield away because they just got promoted as well, hadn't they? And I always remember it was a Sky game, and to be fair, we were dreadful, but we still had chances to win the game. But it was one of them that everything was built around Huddersfield being that new team, and Sky were buzzing about them. I think it was Jamie Redknapp it was like a Huddersfield loving, and they were desperate for Newcastle to lose. For me, and this is why I said it when Dore was on, is that I think he's underestimating us. I don't think he's seen what we've seen in the last 6 months, the war flags, the atmosphere at the stadium, the fortress that is St James's Park at the moment. And we've not even played our strongest team at one time in pre-season. Mm-hmm. I think we've got levels that we haven't seen yet in pre-season that I think we're going to see on Saturday. And I'm really excited to see that. And I think that Forest, although they've got tricky players and players that can cause problems, the likes of Lingard, Brennan Johnson, and one or two of their new signings, Nico Williams, I just think we're going to have too much for them. That midfield of Bruno, whoever it is out of Willock and Longstaff and Joe Linton, we watched the game against Atletico Bilbao. They controlled things for long parts of that game. Up until we went 2-0 up, we controlled the game and dominated. And I do think against a lesser quality, in my opinion, of Forest compared to Atletico Bilbao, I think will cause even more problems.
Yeah, I think they looked so comfortable, didn't they? And I think the only bad thing we've ever seen out the midfield of the preseason was the Benfica game when Bruno got that early booking, didn't it? And it sort of rattled him because he couldn't play his normal game, and then obviously Joe Linton got sent off as well, and so that's probably the worst we've seen them play when they've played together. But you're always allowed a bad game, and luckily and hopefully that's the only one you're going to have, and it's going to be in pre-season. But if you see how Joe Linton played last season when he made that, we've got to remember it was a mistake. It was a fluke that he got put back into midfield that unearthed the player he is now. But people forget how much of it, he puts his stamp on that game, that midfield. You remember when we played Man United at home, and he just absolutely controlled the game. They couldn't get close to him. People were, midfields were bouncing off him. He was just an absolute, rock. He was immense that day against Man United. And Gary Neville saying he couldn't believe this player he was watching on front of him. And he went on the whole season as well. And obviously he's got that chemistry now with Bruno. They class each other as brothers and stuff, and they've got an understanding. You look at the way they played when we went away to Norwich. And Bruno scored that goal, the third. Joe Linton got the 2 excellent goals in the first half. They played really well together. So it's got the stage now. Obviously, with Shelby being injured, it's who plays alongside those two. And I think we both made good arguments for both the people that we discussed tonight. And I don't, you know what? It could go either way, but it's each person, whoever comes, will probably come off the bench at some point, will add something different to the game. It obviously depends on how Eddie wants to set up and where he feels he can, does he feel he needs that extra person to hold him, or do he feel that he needs the legs throughout the game to get up and down the pitch? There's loads of different things on there we can talk about, but it was, it really got me to the one bit he said anyway, and he was that bite where he said, you haven't really got any stellar players. And I just thought, he's
after a bite, just like you got a couple of bites earlier on in the show. Yeah. He was after a bite, but look, it was almost. I do think, and this is not just Dore. I think there's a lot of clubs out there that are underestimating Newcastle United going into this season. Yes, we haven't signed any, sort of high level attacking players. We've signed stellar players. Sven Botman is a stellar player, without a doubt. There's no doubt about that. And I think we will sign some stellar players between now and the end of the window. I'm more than confident in that. Doesn't seem like that at the moment, but I think we will sign at least 2 stellar players to improve this team in attacking sense. But Lords has said the confidence from the Forest fans is wild. You've signed 12 players or something, which never works. 10 of them are unknown. 2 of them are Man United. Couldn't get that Man United couldn't wait to get rid of for being disruptive. I think that's a fair point. With Lingard, not necessarily Dean Henderson, but Lingard is such. There's a number of players that Forest have signed that I wasn't aware of. Not to say that they're not good players, but again,
it's like what we said. Though. You can add quality, numerous amounts. Sometimes you need the quality rather than quantity. But they've brought 12 players in because of they had so many on loan. But that's a lot to gel.
Yeah,
especially. Get 12 players, and they're still said. Steve Cooper said, I heard him today on the TV, they're still not finished. So you start to think that's going to take a lot to come in and gel all together. Luckily we've brought 2. We've signed 3, obviously making Target's deal permanent. But we've got 2 people that are coming in there. One's an England international goalkeeper who knows a lot of the players already, obviously playing on the international scene, or he played with him at Bernard and Chris Wood. But then you've also got Bruno, who then came in as well, who, they approached it really different with him. Like, they brought up the speed and settled in, and he settled in a lot quicker than what was expected, I think. And then you look at Sven Botman. He's the only one who doesn't know anybody in that team, really. And he's already said he's been welcomed into the actual fold straight away, and he's been signed as a potential stellar player. And I know you're a similar sort of illness. He's got that potential to be a Van Dijk Mark II going forward. Will we see him play together with Van Dijk for Holland? I don't know, because that's one area where Holland are really stacked. When you've got Van Dijk, you've got De Ligt, you've got Stefan de Vrij even still on the seed as well, and you've got Sven Botman. So, he's in the top 4 is a Dutch centre half, and he's gelled already. You can see he's comfortable with who he's got. So, 12 players to gel in a new league and to come. I know he doesn't think it. Newcastle will be an intimidating place on Saturday. I don't care what he says. They'll not know what hits them.
Yeah, it's the confidence. It's the confidence because they're in the league. They've got nothing to lose. And I get that. There's nothing to lose for them. If they get relegated, they're expected to get relegated. If they stay up, it's a bonus. And I completely get that. But there is an underestimation for Newcastle United and where we're at right now. And the cauldron, which is St. James's Park, which will be 100% created. You'll see it from the Leazes End. I'll see it from the Gallagher. You will see the cauldron that St. James's Park creates on that day. And I'll be honest, it's a cauldron of support that Forest wouldn't have experienced for a number of years. They wouldn't have experienced it. They wouldn't have experienced it the last time we were in the Championship. This is a different Newcastle United now. Mm-hmm. And that was the point that I was kind of making before.
That's why I wanted to know if he beat us St. James's Park when we'd been in the Championship, because yes, we still had the fans and the attendance turning up, but it's a different atmosphere. We saw it straight away when we went to the Brentford game. The atmosphere then was different from when we'd been previously. And then when I went to the Everton game after I beat the Brentford game, that was another notch up as well. And every time I went since that Brentford game, every single time the atmosphere has gone up. It's been at least at a minimum level every single time. But then you get the odd ones like the Leicester game. That was it. That was a phenomenal atmosphere. And then the Bruno to score that winner in the 94th minute, and the atmosphere, the way it erupted and stuff like that. Like, I know that was your daughter's first game, and it's that's something that she can always look back at, and she'll go, "That was my first game. I remember it so well," because it's such a pivotal moment. That the goal was a fantastic goal, and the way the whole stadium just erupted because you knew that there was no coming back from it. It was a killer blow.
Yeah.
And then obviously that, I think you go on from the Leicester game, and then you had even go to Liverpool when we had Liverpool up, and we didn't particularly play well, but the atmosphere was still good. And then obviously you took that into the Arsenal game, which Arsenal, as I said during the show earlier on, their arses went. They just could not control. And if teams like Arsenal can do it with, yes, okay, there's a lot of young players there.
Yeah,
that makes no difference. What's a team who've got very, very rare, very, very few people with Premier League experience in that team? You can obviously Jack Colback's there. You've obviously got Wayne Hennessy, who he's probably going to be on the bench realistically. Dean Henderson's got a little bit of Premier League experience. Nico Williams, a little bit of Premier League experience. But there's not a lot of Premier League experience for that team. That can be very, very daunting, even though they've got nothing to fear, as you said, because they've been in the Championship for so long. It's a bonus for being up there, and hopefully they want to stay on. This could be a game where they're not looking to get points from it. It's more of a, if they get anything from it, it's a bonus sort of thing. And I think that's how I would look at it from a Forest point of view. I would be thinking, if we get anything, it's a bonus, because I realistically can't see them getting anything on Saturday.
I think it's going to be a fascinating game. Like I said to Dore, I don't think we're going to have it all our own way. I think there'll be moments in the game where they might cause us problems, but I think the experience and the know-how of a lot of our players, the likes of Trippier, the likes of Botman, who's played at the highest level, Champions League, won titles, Target. You've got Bruno in the middle. You've got the likes of experience of Callum Wilson. I just think that we've got enough to see us through. And these boys are hungry. They're firing on all cylinders. So I do think that we'll get the win. That we win and we deserve. We're a different Newcastle United now, and I think that's what sometimes a lot of our NUFC fan base forget that we're a different Newcastle United now, but certainly other fan bases forget that as well. Guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, click that like button in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. We've got 60, 70 thumbs up. We've got over 120, 130 in the chat, and there's been many more during the show. Click that like and help us grow the channel as we go through. Sponsors, Shyburns, www.shyburns.com. Make sure that you are logged in to that website. Lots of fantastic gear with regards to Shyburns. Shyburns get NOWT, as it says on the gear. Fantastic gear from Simon, who's in the chat tonight and always supporting the channel. Make sure there's lots of selection there that you can get involved in. Pins and Prints, which Richie, I don't know if you want to talk about Pins and Prints.
Dean at Pins and Prints got loads of different pins and prints. Basically, he's there's the Eddie Howe print. I've actually got all that one behind us on there. I've got a couple of them. I've got Philip Albert, which we haven't got a picture of. Kieran Trippier's there as well. The shirt mixes that you've got. As I said, the goal as well, sort of stuff. There's a Bruno Guimaraes one, and it's loaded up here as well, which is a fantastic goal. Hopefully, we'll see something like that again tomorrow. And also all the pin badges. He's got all limited edition. The Ben Arthur one there, but he also has a Jonas Gutierrez one where he's fingering his shirt round his head when he scored the winner against West Ham when we stayed up.
Love it. Do you want to talk about NUFC retro?
Yeah, I can do. It's obviously everyone knows retro, but NUFC now they've some of the gear that they're actually getting. It's where they get them from. I'm always shocked because you would think that the retro people wouldn't want to be getting rid of these retro clothes. Some of these kits are some of like the best kits we ever had, but he managed to get hold of them and go and check them out. He's got some fantastic kits on there. We go back to the 80s. He's got some of the old Umbro kits. He's got the Asics ones. He's got all the Adidas ones to the 90s to the early 90s, the Puma ones, whichever ones you want. He's got them. He's also got a new facility on his website as well, where he's got a baseline price there for you. Which if you do want to play about, you can make an offer to him now as well. So you might be able to get a little bargain by just put a cheeky little bit in or something. If he accepts, he accepts. If he doesn't, as I say, off one of our other sponsors, Shyburns getting out.
Yeah, definitely Shyburns getting out. And finally, fantastic new sponsor, Machine House, Martin at Machine House, who I think is close to getting some of his range in and available to us very, very soon. I think there was a couple of messages out today, but
yeah, there was.
Martin from Machine House, fantastic gear. If you've not had a look at the website and had a look at some of the gear that Machine House have put together, then I don't know where you've been. They've got some fantastic stuff available for us and for everyone. And look, their range is going from strength to strength, and we're absolutely so proud to be a part of our kind of working relationship together. So get involved in Machine House along with Retro NUFC, along with Pins and Prints, and certainly along with Shy Burns from and Simon, who's a massive contributor to the channel. Make sure you get yourself involved in that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. Well on the way to 5k. We're continuing to move in. We've moved again tonight. Like I say, slowly but surely making our way to 5k, which is a fantastic achievement for us personally. If you aren't a member, and we had 2 new members tonight that were on the screen, thank you for becoming members. This is the way you become a member. You click that join in blue, $1.99 a month. We have another draw coming up very, very soon, where you can win some goodies. To be, but to be in that, to win it, you have to be a member to be part of that draw. There is no doubt about it. And look, lots more to come in the days coming up. I'll just drop a couple of things on there. Tomorrow we're back. The main man, Ben Jacobs, is coming back to talk all things Newcastle United transfers. And look, as you can see behind him, there are a number of Leicester City players that we've been linked with, and he's going to give us the lowdown and the update on everything Newcastle United related to the likes of James Maddison, the likes of Yuri Tillemans, and the likes of Harvey Barnes, who all 3 could potentially still leave the club right now. So lots and lots to be thinking about. And between now and then, in the next 24 hours, all things could change. We don't know. And of course, we've got the Nottingham Forest reaction show that will be coming to you after the game. Not sure when the day is going to be.
I think it's Sunday. I think we're potentially doing Sunday night. Give everyone a chance to get home and stuff, because a lot of you be travelling back on the actual day. So I think we're doing the reaction show Sunday evening at the earliest. It could even be Monday, depending on obviously what the plan is with how many we've actually got for available for the Sunday show.
Yeah, detailed Sunday, Monday reaction show, talking about all things Newcastle United, Nottingham Forest, and hopefully talking about 3 points in the bag to start the season nicely. But look, it's been a pleasure. Great to have Mr. Dore on there. If you're not following him on Twitter, give him a follow, give him a subscribe to YouTube. His content is fantastic. Richie, absolute pleasure to have you on. Great to talk tactics and all things Newcastle and Forest. And look, for everyone in the chat, always a pleasure. Never ever a chore. The first away days of the season in the bank. Plenty more to come in the weeks and months ahead. And until then, we do love playing away. You guys take care. We will speak to you very, very soon. See you later.
Good night, everyone.